Hi y'all. In this video we're going to discuss odds. On your sheet there that you should be looking at, you've got a definition that's written just like this. This is the definition of odds, and we'll say if the probability of event E is, if P of E is the probability of event E, then we define the odds for E in this way. Alright, so I'm going to stop here. We're going to define two things, the odds for E and the odds against E. I'm going to say this is the technical definition that I'm never ever going to use. How we will do this, let's see with an example. Example 1 in your video guide says you roll a single 6-sided die. Find the odds in favor of rolling a 2. There's a 2-step process I'll employ, and it's really going to have 3 steps, but this is what I'll describe them as. Step 1, find the probability of the event. So here, the probability of rolling a 2 should be the number of ways you can get a 2 divided by the number in the sample space. How many 2's are there on a 6-sided die? There's 1. How many total sides are there? There are 6. So the probability of the event is 1/6. 1 to 6. Or 1/6. Alright, now we're going to do some stuff. The odds for the event represent a different kind of ratio than the probability does. This is the total number of ways your event can happen, in this case 1, your numerator. This is the total number of things that can happen overall. So this ratio for a probability represents the number of ways your event happen to the total number of things that can happen. The odds represent a different ratio. They look at the question of, well, how many ways can your event happen? So the first number in our example will be 1. 2, I like this notation. You can always be written as a fraction, but I will do it typically this way. 1, 2, the number of ways the event doesn't happen or can't happen. There are 6 total things that can happen. One of them is the event we care about here. So that would be 6 minus 1. 5 of them are not. The odds for getting a 2 are 1 to 5. That's how we would read this, is 1 to 5. You were not asked this on the question, but I'll take this further. The other way that we could have, the odds you could have asked are the odds against. This just flips the odds for. That is, it's 5 to 1. You reorder them. The steps I will always take with odds questions. First, find the associated probability of the problem. To find the odds for, you take, then you're going to simplify. I'm sorry, let me go back here. This has to be simplified. That is important. To find the odds for, you take the numerator of the simplified fraction to the denominator minus the numerator. In this case, this was 6 minus 1. Alright, I get that. The odds against, just reorder them. This is all you have to do for odds problems. We'll talk about, in some examples, other things that can come up, but this is pretty well the entire process. In example 2, you're told the winner of a raffle will get a Maserati sports car. If 4,000 raffle tickets are sold and Michelle purchases 30 tickets, what are her odds of winning the car? Well, let's first find the probability of winning. Well, there's 4,000 things total and 30 tickets for her. So simplifying that, that should be 3 out of 400. Her odds for winning the car are going to be 3, 2. That's just the numerator. There's 3 ways that she can win. The number of ways she can lose as a ratio is 397. So the way I speak about this, it's as if there are 3 ways of winning and 397 ways of losing. But that's really a ratio. There are 30 ways of winning, and there are 3,970 ways of losing. But I'll speak about this ratio as if it were the entire number, though it is really a representative part of the number. But her odds for winning are just 3 to 397. The odds against wasn't asked here, but it would be 397 to 3. Example 3 reads that the odds in favor of a particular horse winning a race are 2 to 5. What's the probability that this horse will win the race? So the odds for are 2 to 5. So what this means is for every 2 ways of winning, we expect there are 5 ways of losing. Alright. So from this standpoint, we think there are how many total ways of something happening? Well, 2 plus 5 is 7. So the probability of the horse winning should be, well, there's 2 ways of him winning and 7 things total that can happen. And that will be the answer to the probability question. Example 4 reads, the odds in favor of Christine winning the election are 9 to 8. What's the probability that Christine wins is A. Christine does not win is part B. So the odds for a win are 9 to 8. So the probability of a win, well, there's 9 ways of winning, and 9 plus 8, 17 total things that can happen. So that's the probability of winning. Probability of not winning, when we talk about complements, we're recognizing that this is the complement of that situation, which we can denote like this. You'll see that in a minute on a different video. But the probability of not winning, well, there were 9 ways of winning, or for every 9 ways of winning, there were 8 ways of the other thing, in this case, not winning. So one way to do this is to recognize that this would be 8 is the probability of not winning, that's the number of ways of not winning, divided by the total, which is 17. Alternatively, I could have said, well, something overall here has to happen. The person has to win or not win, and those 2 things have to add up to 1. That was one of the rules of probability. So I could have taken 1 minus 9 17ths and gotten 8 17ths out of that. That would have been correct. Any correct way will get us to 8 17ths. My experience with odds is that for the vast majority of people, if you follow the rules in this video, you will get all of the odds problems right. But you have to remember one thing. And it's kind of strange because in everyday speech, frequently odds and probability are used interchangeably. We certainly mean something different. Throughout this, we've taken a probability and we've changed it to get the odds. Right? Odds and probability are defined differently. And that's the thing to remember. Probability is not the same as odds. So for example, if you see on a test that the probability of an event is 1/5, and you go down to the answers, and one of them is 1/5, if you cross that out, you will probably get the problem right. The number one thing to remember about probability is that it's not the same as odds. Or rather, the number one thing to remember about odds, it's not the same as probability. If you remember that, you will almost certainly get the answer to the problem that you'll see on the test correct.